Ага, то я вчасно час.
Okay, so let me welcome you at the third session of our conference of our World Logic Day in Warsaw, but also in Lviv, because today we built a certain virtual bridge between Warsaw and Lviv, and our colleagues from University of Lviv, Ivan Franko University of Lviv, will present their papers from the Scottish Cafe, so the place which also appeared in the title of our session, because our session is entitled "Secrets of the Scottish Cafe." It was really incredible place, Scottish Cafe, where philosophers, logicians, and mathematicians meet, and they did not only talk to each other, discuss problems, but they really solved and posed important problems. And perhaps it is a good occasion for our guests to show a little bit the Scottish Cafe to our participants, because how it looks today. Could you do it through your cameras? Perhaps, yeah. Oh, so perhaps we'll do it later.
Mamy coś powiedzieć? Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry. Chcieliśmy prosić, żeby pokazać trochę szkocką kamerą.
A, szkocką pokaż, jak najbardziej. My mamy kamery, mamy komputer teraz.
Great.
Tak,
Świetnie.
dobrze.
Poprosimy.
To potrzeba, tak? Aha. Zaraz kamerę mam przełączyć na zewnętrzną kamerę. Chwilkę. Tak, jak to robić? Jest już. Dobrze. Tak. Teraz chwilka. O.
Ja tam będę.
Dobrze, to już. Tak? Znaczy, że jesteśmy w kawiarni szkockiej. Wyключить всі мікрофони. To jest problem, bo mamy 4 komputery i każdy jest łączony, więc to tak, jesteśmy w kawiarni szkockiej. Tutaj widać do góry nogami, co prawda.
Okay.
Czy da się poznać, kto to może być?
Steinhaus? Nie. Steinhaus? No.
Who is that? So that is Charge of Lwowsko-Warszawska. Yes, he's founder of Lviv Mathematical School. And so we are in the Scottish Cafe, in the very end of this Scottish Cafe. And from the other side, you can see here the pictures. So there are pictures of mathematicians and logicians on the walls, and we are just showing you. So that is also Charge picture of the most famous logician after Aristotle, probably, right? So Gödel, and right here you see. Maybe I will come
Banach,
closer.
I think, yes. Is it Banach?
Banach, yes, Banach. Sorry. Oh, Banach is Banach smoking, so that is the reason of his death, by the way. And so I'm going to the next hall of the Scottish Cafe. There are 3 rooms. So now there are visitors, of course. Maybe I will not show you these visitors, but here we have a picture of a young Franz Josef I. So that is Emperor of Austrian Empire till the First World War. Here on the next wall, you see this is Banach young, So that
Yes.
is the time when he was elected to be head of the chair of mathematical analysis in the university, 22 years. Okay, so let's go further. So this part was not originally Scottish cafe. It is attached after the construction, and now we are going to the main Scottish cafe room. So what is original here? It is the floor. You see, times, and so here the waiters. Yes, sorry, and the symbol of Scottish cafe. Here, you see.
Yeah.
So that is the famous goose.
Yes, gęś.
Yes, famous goose. It is just above of shelter, and for example here. So that is a special bookshelf with books devoted to Scottish cafe, mathematics, and philosophy. For example, that one is Scottish volume.
Jest piękna księga szkocka, Scottish book.
There is a book of Banach mechanics, and the last one, one of our speakers today, the Polis Scientifica. That is book about scientific view. It is written in the main part by Yaroslav Pritula, who will make a talk today. Yes, and that is original copy of the original Scottish book, which is handwritten, you see. So that is copy, of course. Yes, and so that is the start of our story. Exactly. Okay, maybe have you other some suggestion? What should I show? So tables. So I just invite you all to view somehow, and you will see that by your own eyes.
Thank you very much. That was fantastic. I feel like I am already in Lwów and I joined you there. So thank you very much for this presentation. And now I would like to introduce our guests. We have today three mathematicians, scholars from University of Lviv, from Faculty of Mechanics and Mathematics. These are Professor Taras Banach, who just showed us secrets of contemporary Scottish cafe. We have also Professor Jarosław Brytula and Professor Michał Zaryczny. They will present their papers, but at first we will make a short introduction. This introduction was prepared by me and Professor Kordula Świętorzecka, who unfortunately has a certain emergency and couldn't be with us at the moment. But let me just share the screen with this presentation. And I will talk in this introduction about both philosophy and mathematics and logic. And then we will move to more strictly logical papers. Yeah, this is my presentation, but I have to share it with you. Okay, I hope that you can see my slides. Yeah, so philosophy, logic, and mathematics meet in the Scottish cafe. At first, I would like to pose the question, why Scottish cafe, something which is traditionally associated mostly with mathematics, is also important for philosophers and also for the Lwów-Warsaw School. Of course, the element which is common is Lwów, the cradle of the Lwów-Warsaw School, and the place where mathematicians worked together and invented famous Scottish book. So I will say a little bit about this Lwów-Warsaw School and its connections to Lwów mathematicians. This is the Scottish cafe looked through artificial intelligence. It was colorized by AI tool. And on the right, there is the book which was published recently by me and Professor Jacek Jadacki, Złota Epoka Filozofii w Lwowie, Gold Epoch of Philosophy in Lwów, where we present Lwów as a cradle of Polish philosophy and this Central European, more broadly speaking, analytical philosophy. Of course, I will not say a lot about the kind of philosophy and the value of this philosophy here, only some short comments. The Lwów-Warsaw School was founded by Kazimierz Twardowski at the end of the 19th century. And the school was par excellence a school, namely the fundamental relation that created this bonds in the school were teacher-student, master-student relation. So in the Lwów-Warsaw School, this relation student also were important because these people really cooperated with each other, commented on each other, read their texts. So education in the school was treated very seriously. The master and model was Twardowski, but his work was continued by other members of the school. Therefore, the members of the school include Twardowski, his students, and students of his students. An additional criterion of belonging to the school is, of course, spirit of clarity and anti-irrationalism. The Lwów-Warsaw School is not limited to philosophy. It is an interdisciplinary formation. It is first of all a philosophical school, but Twardowski's philosophical program consists in taking into account various disciplines and methods. Therefore, not only philosophers in a strict sense emerged from the school, but also logicians, psychologists, educators, and others. And what binds the school substantively is not shared views, but a methodological attitude, a spirit of clarity, anti-rationalism, anti-dogmatism. There were methodological postulates very important for the school, the postulate of clarity of speech and the postulate of proper justification of views. These two things, namely clarity, strictness also of thinking and speaking, justification of views, is something which makes philosophy of the school close to the kind of mathematical thinking. Also, the members of the school sometimes differed significantly in terms of worldviews, political convictions, etc. But this methodological core was something the most important for them and common to all of them. And the Lwów-Warsaw School would not have come into being without the effort and commitment of Kazimierz Twardowski, who in his Lwów activity between 1895 and 1930, in 30 he retired, in 1939 he died, combined didactic genius with an original conception of scientific philosophy. Twardowski as a philosopher provided a solid methodological foundations. He considered both logic and psychology as basic disciplines. He introduced analytical methods, analyzing small problems, precising them. He introduced important conceptual distinctions. He also brought to Poland important and fruitful set of problems taken from theory of mind, in Brentano school, descriptive psychology, theory of object, philosophical logic, and later also mathematical logic introduced by his students, scientific methods, including the theory of reasoning, relations between language, reality, and thought, the concept of truth, independent ethics, etc. And the importance of Twardowski as a teacher consists in the fact that he was devoted to teaching. He supervised 47 doctoral dissertations in philosophy. Thousands of students at the University of Lwów attended his lectures. Also, mathematicians had to pass exams in philosophy and attended lectures in philosophy at that time. And now, why is Szkocka Cafe important for the Lwów-Warsaw School? Where the school, whose cradle was Lwów, And the activity of Kazimierz Twardowski is regarded primarily as philosophical school, but it's also a school of logic and psychology. Its connections with mathematics, both substantive and interpersonal, were, however, numerous. At the beginning of the 20th century, the Faculty of Philosophy included not only chairs of philosophy, but also natural sciences and mathematics. So philosophers, psychologists, logicians, and mathematicians work at the same faculty. In a natural way, mathematicians and philosophers were and worked closer to one another than they do today. The faculties were separated only in the end of the 20s. Students of philosophy under Twardowski at that time attended classes in mathematics and physics. Members of the Lwów-Warsaw School often mentioned Lwów, mathematicians and physicists, as well as representatives of other disciplines, as their important teachers. They even had to study some other field in order to become good philosophers, as Twardowski was convinced. At the time when Twardowski's Lwów school was active, mathematical logic arose and developed in Poland. Its Polish representatives were, first of all, Twardowski students that were educated as philosophers. They started from philosophy, but through research in mathematical logic, they drew closer to mathematicians. The leading figures of Polish School of Logic, Jan Łukasiewicz and Stanisław Leśniewski, initially held chairs in philosophy and later in mathematical logic, already, of course, in Warsaw. The program that Twardowski prepared for Polish philosophy was strikingly similar to the one that Zygmunt Janiszewski proposed for Polish mathematics. And was Twardowski a guest in Scottish Cafe? Did he visit Scottish Cafe? Yes, we have many documents that certify that he attended Scottish Cafe for various meetings. Here is one of Twardowski's students' memory. Twardowski was tall, broad-shouldered, with a raw face, surrounded by a long, light red beard. He wore a soft black hat, a black tie tied to a knot, a coat of military fashion with horn buttons, and a flap in the back. He kept going straight, walked slowly, majestically, always holding a leather-stuffed book under his armpit. He never parted with it, even when he went to his favorite Scottish cafe from home. He had lectures at 7 o'clock in summer. The hall was always filled, female listeners prevailing in it, and so on and so on. But the most important fragment of this description is that the Scottish cafe was his favorite cafe, okay, and he visited it going from his home. And I checked what was Twardowski's way from his home at St. Zofia Street. Now it is Ivan Franko Street in Lwów. From Ivan Franko Street to the Scottish cafe, it is about 1.8 kilometers. It takes about 24 minutes to get from the first point to another. So it was a kind of nice walk near to the Park Stryjski, very beautiful park in Lwów. Twardowski's flat was very close to this park. From the new university, it is from to Szkocka, it is about 15-18 minutes. I don't know if Professor agree, confirm this information, but it is what Google Maps says to us.
Yes, that's the case.
More or less, yeah, you would agree. Okay. But we also find many interesting mentions about Scottish cafe in Kazimierz Twardowski's diaries. And these mentions appear between 1919 and 1925. Before, there are no mentions, and also after that, there are no mentions about Scottish cafe in Twardowski's diaries. It doesn't mean that Twardowski didn't visit Scottish cafe, but for some reasons he didn't mention it in the diary. So, for instance, the 24th May 1919, after Tatarkiewicz lecture on comparing goods given on the occasion of the General Assembly of the Polish Philosophical Society, with Tatarkiewicz, in the Scottish Cafe. This is the first mention of Scottish Cafe in the diaries. The same year, after Zawiśki's lecture at PTF, Polish Philosophical Society, in the Scottish Cafe. In December, after Tretter's lectures on Polish Philosophical Society, we were in quite a large group to the Scottish Cafe. 1920, Ajdukiewicz gave a lecture on the concept of existence in deductive sciences. Afterwards, in the cafe, the same year in May, after the lecture at the Polish Philosophical Society, in the Scottish Cafe, Gromski, Drexlerowa, Weinbergowa, Baron, Steinhaus. He mentions people that joined Twardowski in the Scottish Cafe. The same year, after Kaczorowski's lecture, again in the Scottish Cafe, and it continues. One important mention is in 22nd January 1929. At noon, I promoted Stefan Banach to a doctor of philosophy. After Worski's lecture at the Polish Philosophical Society in the Scottish Cafe. So he mentions to be a part of Stefan Banach's promotion. In fact, Twardowski was an official so-called promoter, yeah, of Stefan Banach. I will show it in the next slide. And then he mentions also Scottish Cafe, where he went after the meeting of the society. And the last mention of the Scottish Cafe was a very difficult and important moment for Twardowski, because it was December 1925. In the afternoon today, Kazik Ajdukiewicz was one of the favorite students of Kazimierz Twardowski, but also his son-in-law. That's why it was very sad for Twardowski that Ajdukiewicz planned to move to Warsaw. In fact, after 2 years, he came back to Lwów, but that moment in 1925, it was saying goodbye to Kazimierz Ajdukiewicz. So in the afternoon today, Kazimierz Ajdukiewicz had his last classes at the docent of the university. Then we were together in the Scottish Cafe and in the Hotel Europejski, so it was a long night for Lwów philosophers. Yeah, and this is this diploma of Stefan Banach and his promotion. Of course, he's probably the real promoter, supervisor of Banach was Hugo Steinhaus, but Steinhaus was not a full professor at that time. He was only private docent. That's why Kazimierz Twardowski is here as a real formal, but not only formal, but material, let's say, as a real promoter. Also, Banach had to had philosophy exam by Twardowski, so they met several times, and for sure there was a kind of influence and interesting interactions between them. Yeah, another person interested in mathematics and the mathematical reasoning that was student of Twardowski was Pepi Spinner, who wrote under Twardowski a thesis about reasonings in mathematics. Pepi Spinner is a very important and interesting person with a fantastic biography. During the Second World War, she helped many people in concentration camp in Lublin, and then she continued her career in United States. But she started from Twardowski, and with also mathematics. She studied both mathematics and philosophy, and wrote a thesis, let's say, interdisciplinary on both subjects, on the intersection of both subjects. In Twardowski's diaries, there are really many mentions of Lwów mathematicians. These are only some examples about Banach, about Chwistek, Janiszewski, Łomnicki, Orliczowa, Puzyna, Ruziewicz, Sierpiński, Steinhaus, and Żyliński. Of course, we have no time to discuss all these mentions and interactions, but I will focus just shortly on relations and mentions about Janiszewski, because on the previous section, Professor Woleński asked about Twardowski's interactions with Janiszewski, and there are some. For instance, on 27 July 1917, At noon, this is a mention from Twardowski's diaries. At noon, a private docent and assistant of our university appears at my place. At the same time, a sergeant of Polish legions, Dr. Zygmunt Janiszewski, and asks me whether I would like to take part in a demonstration planned for Sunday on the occasion of Piłsudski's arrest. Twardowski, of course, refused because he never joined political meetings, but he admired Janiszewski very much as a mathematician. Okay, in October 1919, he wrote, "In the afternoon, Janiszewski, the mathematician, is at my place, who on Tuesday, after a stay of several months, is returning to Warsaw." In 1920, today here in Lwów, Dr. Janiszewski died, formerly a docent of mathematics at our university, now a professor of mathematics at the University of Warsaw. A great loss of a scholar and a man. 3 days later, Twardowski wrote in his diaries at 11 o'clock Janiszewski's funeral. And also after Janiszewski's death, there are some mentions about Janiszewski. These are in Polish, so sorry, I forgot to translate this slide, but there were some meetings of Polish Mathematical Society where Twardowski was present and some Janiszewski's works were discussed. And also Twardowski mentions Janiszewski's paper in his paper Symbolomania and Pragmatophobia. And coming to the end of my presentation, it is not only Kazimierz Twardowski that was in love with Scottish Cafe. It was a place of meeting of many Polish philosophers and Kazimierz Twardowski students. For instance, here we've got a scan of Władysław Witwicki's paper w sprawie przedmiotu i podziału psychologii on the object and division of psychology. And there is a dedication on this copy to Kazimierz Twardowski, to the venerable Professor Twardowski, with expressions of gratitude for the pleasant conversation in the Scottish Cafe about this paper, Witwicki. And if we would like to visit Szkocka Cafe today, there is a long way to go there, 6 hours and 36 minutes by car, and probably even more with some other means of transport. But fortunately, we have our internet tools, we have internet, and we can meet with our colleagues from Lwów just immediately. I'm very glad that this meeting was possible, and it is now okay. Yes, sorry. So, sorry, Professor Banach, you couldn't see the slides? I hope.
Can see.
Okay. So because I now saw you. Okay, I now saw you.
Mała czcionka, to się nazywa.
Okay. So I'm very glad that it is possible to be at the same time in Warsaw and in Lwów. And now it's my pleasure to announce our next speaker. This is Professor Taras Banach, Mathematics in the Scottish Cafe, Past and Present.
Okay, thank you so much. And now I share my screen. Okay, could you see everything?
Yes, we can see the slides. Yeah, great.
Just a minute. Control A. Oh, okay. That's okay. So first of all, I would like to thank organizer for organizing such a beautiful event. For us, it is an opportunity to advertise Scottish Cafe and Scottish Book, which is our common cultural and scientific heritage. Also, I would like to say that it is written here that the presenter is Taras Banach, but actually it should be two speakers. My wife prepared all these slides. So I would like to thank to my wife also for organizing some other sites. Okay, so I will talk about mathematics in Scottish Cafe, about past and present, and my future talk will be about future, in some future, okay? That is a map which is resembling what was showed by Anna Brožik. That is a map of central part of the city, and you can see here three buildings of universities. So two of them are universities, Lviv universities of this one, the main building, and that is a polytechnical university. On the map it is not seen, but there is a difference in heights. So our university on maybe 50 meters lower than the Polytechnica. So Polytechnic professors used to say that they are from higher university and we are from lower one. And the other old building of the university is here. And we are at the moment in a Scottish Cafe, which is here. So you can see also the reason why mathematicians and Twardowski also who work exactly at this building have chosen Scottish Cafe, because it is just a 5-minute walk. Okay, and sorry. The next slide shows all the three universities I mentioned. So that is the old building of Lviv University. It is actually not so old because the university was founded in 1661 official date, okay? And those times it was very close to the Ratusha, to the city municipality, but in this, it's called Spring of People, right? In 1848, there was a fire and this building was just burned totally, and they moved the main building of the university to this so-called old university, but this was not so old, from 1851 until 1923, so after the First World War, when the building of Halician Parliament became free of administrative duties, and it was converted to the university, and now it is also the main building of the Lviv University nowadays. And on the right, you see the building of Lviv Polytechnica. So it is very similar to university, but Polytechnica was built as a university, and the main building was built as a parliament. And Polytechnica was built by architect Zakharevich, who was the rector of this university after he built the building. So he built university for himself, in a sense. Okay, and below there are names of mathematicians from those times, and they are arranged in order of generations. So Shmurko, Puzina, later Serpinski, Yanishevsky, they were active before the First World War. Lomnitsky, Stožek, Lwowsko-Warszawski started in interwar period. So those Lomnitsky, Stožek, Lwowsko-Warszawski, they worked in Polytechnic. Then the generation of Banach, Steinhaus, Ruzevich, Zelinsky, and Zaretsky, Meron, it's very interesting figure, and Mikhail Zarichny will talk about him in his talk. Mazur, Ulam, Schauder, Kaczmarz, Auerbach is still younger generation, and yes, Orlich, Kach, Spirlein, Eide, Haltshire, Pepys, those are logicians, and the last line, the famous Lviv logicians, Hvistek, Herzberg, those two are pupils of Hvistek. And here you see this extended version of Lviv Mathematical School with some associated members, let us say so. So that is arranged in the form of graph. You can see important vertices here. For example, Steinhaus was very influential according to this graph, and he actually created this famous Lviv Mathematical School. He found Banach, that is his main achievement as he likes to talk. And also a very important figure here is Joseph Puzina, also was mentioned. So he prepared the ground for creation of this famous worldwide known school of mathematics. And you also can see those arrows reflecting the importance of Puzina. He invited Sierpinski to Lviv, and also Sierpinski had a lot of made a lot of job and work and influence for creating the mathematical school. Stanislav Ulam is very important person because due to him, the legend of the mathematical school is alive, and Scottish book also was famous because he popularized and also reproduced, make effort to make this alive and active. Okay, and what next? Aha. So that was already taught in Anna Broszek lecture, that the distinctive feature of Lwów School of Mathematics what is style of collective work in coffee houses. So they like to go after university to some restaurant, and you can see here the principal locations where they would like to go. So usually, in spite of the fact that Skotska was very close to the university, the actual trajectory was not so direct. So they usually went from the university, and depending on person. So, for example, Steinhaus liked this Zalewski confectionery. So there was some sweets and very famous. So those sweets even were moved to Warsaw by night planes each night. But Banach and Stożek, they like this location before Skotska. So there was quite cheap sausage and vodka there, so they were prepared to going to Skotska and discuss mathematics there with a cup of coffee. And yeah, so that was actual trajectory of mathematician according to this map you see. Okay. Yes, and also the known story that there was two restaurants close each to the other. One was Skotska and the other was Roma. And Roma and Skotska are denoted by the same cup of coffee. So it actually here was the Roma and here Skotska Cafe. And yeah, so they were in both locations basically. But where the Skotsk is important because of Scottish book. There was no Roma book. Yes. Okay. And you can see here the pictures of the old building of the university those times. This red arrow shows you the direction of movement of mathematicians and philosophers in direction to Stilichkova and Szkocka Cafe and Roma. And here some color picture from the same, maybe even earlier times. That is a church near the university. Okay. And this arrow shows you continuation of their walk from the university to restaurants. Roma and Szkocka. Roma is from the left side, Szkocka from the right one. We are sitting in this at the moment in this right side building. So those are pictures of original rooms in Scottish Cafe, and I did not show you this room because now it is hall of the hotel. But we checked that, for example, this piece of interior is preserved, and all these windows are the same. So this is indeed the proper location. And Scottish Cafe was going the other round of the building. So in fact, we are sitting here. I will show you in a minute. We are sitting from that side. But Banach with colleagues were sitting here. And this location is still a bank, which was before the restaurant was reopened. The bank occupied all the building. Now it is only that right part. The owner of Lwowsko Cafe was Zielinski, and we have contacts with his relatives. So, let's talk. Okay. Okay. Now, here's a citation from a newspaper, which Chwila, which published from time to time some notes about Lviv restaurants, and it's written here. It's from 34, so just a year before Scottish book was created. That the Lwowsko was a place with the most mixed audience among other cafes, university professors and couples in law, old gossipers and lonely readers of newspapers, bibliophiles and billiard players. By the way, billiard players, Jewish intelligentsia and students from a nearby academic house. All strata and spheres, classes and races, confessions and preferences lived here in harmony, not with each other, but side by side. Therefore, Lwowsko has always been particularly nice, thanks to the fact that it was never too full and was never too empty. So such a democratic place. Now it is more noble, by the way. In Scottish cafe, as also was already said by Anna, that philosopher, logicians, Twardowski, Lukasiewicz, Tarski, Chwistek, so they went from time to time to Lwowsko. Also journalists, artists, writers, Bruno Schulz, well-known writer Stanislaw Lem, also was frequently here. And mathematicians went to Scottish cafe after meetings of Polish Mathematical Society, which usually happened on Saturday, so each week. And after this meeting, they continued to discuss what was not finished on talks, because they were very short, by the way. So here you can see the picture of Scottish cafe, and also we check that it's original. So the window and this column is still here, still there outside, and the most probably that is a picture of Banach. And as was said in this Chwila, there were some readers of newspapers you can see here. So now we are transferring to a Scottish book, and that is also a well-known story that at the beginning they just wrote their notes on tables, but after the wife of Banach, Lucia, bought a special notebook for 2 zloty, and mathematicians started to write down the problems there in this Scottish book, and it so became the famous story. The first problem was described in on July 17th, the problem of Banach. So for mathematicians it's very interesting, but for a non-mathematician maybe it says nothing. But I can tell you as mathematicians that it's a very deep problem, and it is not completely solved till our days, but there is this very interesting progress in set theoretical direction. Okay. Yeah, so this Scottish book contains about 200 problems, so exact number is not 193, which is the last problem, because there was also problem with some sub numbers. And here there are names of mathematicians that inscribed their problem to this Scottish book. you can see that the most prolific is Ulam and Mazur, right? Ulam 62, Mazur 7 square, and Banach 5 square, right? Okay, and also there are inscriptions of the guest of Scottish Cafe, and among those guests, by the way, where is the Lebec? Alexandru, Bogolyubov, Borsuk, Lindbergh, Frechet, Infeld, but also, yeah, Lebec also was here in this cafe, as known story. Now, problems in Scottish book can be classified, and it was done by the Richny Mikhail Mikhailovich, in areas of mathematics, and you can see that the biggest number is in function theories and general topology is the next one. Function analysis is on the third place, in spite of the fact that the mathematical school is the most famous for creation of mathematical analysis. Geometric topology and measure theory is also very important. For example, Banach-Tarski paradox is exactly about measure theory. And still there are many unsolved problems, and here there is a list of those unsolved problems. Unsolved, it is also it is from 2015, right?
What?
Yeah, the list of unsolved problems. So today I checked if this red problem is solved or not using ChatGPT, and it solved this one, red one problem. I will tell you the solution in a
And
minute.
some are solved in 2023. Flotation body, for example.
The Sunny too. Yeah, I will tell also this story. Very interesting. So still, some problems from this Scottish book are solved in other times. So this story with Scottish book is not finished at all. Okay. So that is exactly this slide with unfinished story of Scottish book. So I was told by Irena that you as philosophers would like to have some feeling what those problems were about, right? But for non-mathematician, usually it is very, very difficult to explain what are genuine mathematical problems about, because you should introduce many definitions and relations between definitions, finally the problem. But there were some selected problems which are available to understand for non-specialists, and I just listed here. And the first of them is the problem of Ulam, who was solved quite recently. That is a problem about a floating body. So, such a toy for children, right? How it's called in English, I don't know it. In Polish also, I don't know how it is called, but anyway, yeah. So that is something that take the fixed direction when you try to but the problem was, is it possible to find some body that can flow without in any position? It can flow and it will not rotate to some preferable direction. Okay, and that was a question if the sphere is the such a unique body that has this floating property, and it was resolved quite recently by Dmitry Ryabogin. It is from Kent University. The paper was published in Annals of Mathematics. It's the main journal of United States, published by Princeton University. And there was a counterexample which looks like this egg. So this egg without water is just standing on a fixed position, but with the water, when put in the water, it will float in any direction without preferable. So that is a quite recent solution of such a problem. And there was another one, also easy to formulate, problem of Ulam about friends. So you have a company of n friends, and each person of this company has some k known person from this company. What is probability that you can connect any two persons in the company by the root of friends. Okay, and this problem was resolved by Paul Erdős, a famous mathematician, maybe not. And this one also is easy to formulate and available to a non-specialist. It is a problem of Ruszewicz. Ruszewicz was very interesting person, by the way, very interesting mathematician from this older generation of mathematicians from Lviv mathematical school. And the problem was, is it true that you can decompose a square into finite number of squares, all different? And that was the problem posed to by Ruszewicz to his students in the university, just to make them, force them to make some job. And that was a long story with the solution. It was maybe one of the first examples of computer-assisted proofs. So at first, this Dutch mathematician, how it's pronounced, Lwowsko-Warszawska, something like this. So he proved at first in 62 with computers that it is not possible to decompose the square on less than 20 pieces. And then he should wait 16 years for progress in computers so that the power will increase, so that he can increase this 20 to 21 and finally to find such a solution. And there are puzzles, you can buy it in internet, just to compose such a square from pieces. And it took how long? Something like 40 years, right? Okay. And finally, today, when I was prepared this talk, there is also the problem of Mazur and Auerbach. Let us mention that Anna Brožek said there was billiard players in the Scottish cafe, and this problem about billiard. That it is true that when you have billiard with rational ratio of sides, then when you you put the ball after the angle of 45, it is true that it will finish in some other corner. And I asked this problem to ChatGPT today, and he just solved it. And in this way, this is this billiard table, and when ball is reflecting, then actually on the reflection it goes by straight line. This is a standard way of doing and analyzing what's happening with billiards. Okay, and so that is not computer assisted proofs, but simply computer proofs, and we are now living in such era. But in Moldin, in all the two editions, it is said that nothing is known about solution of this problem. Okay. What next? What next? Still or more? Okay, now there is also known stories about prizes. Yes, so problems in Scottish book were written very often with prizes like a cup of coffee or 5 small beers or bottle of whiskey, kilogram of bacon. But the most famous prize was a live goose. And you have seen this goose as a symbol of the Scottish cafe I showed you. That was a problem posed by Stanislav Mazur and solved by Anne Flo. And yes, there was a special occasion to, yes, with this goose, and it's very interesting also. Yes, now a Scottish book survived after the war. It was copied by Steinhaus, sent to Ullum, and Ullum then popularized, and finally Scottish book is so famous. So due to many persons basically, but Steinhaus, Ullum, the most important. So this Scottish cafe, the pictures from more recent times, that is the time when there was a bank here, this Universal, but fortunately, due to crisis financial in 2008, there was bankruptcy of this bank, and it returned back to its natural state to be a restaurant. Okay, now this interior inside and the same goose I showed you. Now the building looks like this. This is, yeah. Okay, now those are problems from the modern version of so-called Lviv Scottish book, which was started in 2016 on the Kuratowski conference. It was a conference dedicated to 120 anniversary of Kuratowski. And after that, it already has 4 volumes, and there is a special story with this new Scottish cafe, but I suggest I have no time to tell you all this story about new Scottish book. But in this new Scottish book, there is a lot of information from historical, from modern times. Also, that is just some pages from this new Scottish book showing you conferences and yeah. For example, this is a meeting of 2 speakers today, Yaroslav Prytula and Zarichny. It's called Lwivski Spacer. So they pretended to be Banach and Ulam. Yeah. And so that is also interesting story. So that is some pictures from last written problems. Maybe the last one is from the 2nd of December, just maybe more than a month ago. Yes, there is also some legendary story about solutions of this new Lviv Scottish book, and it was done by Terence Tao. So we are very proud that he noticed the problem in the Scottish book and resolved it. And there was also similar story to Goose with mother and Flo. So there was conference in Warsaw, and Terence Tao obtained the promised price, which was bottle of drinking honey, and also what this is drinking honey. Yes, Mikhail Zarichny was in Warsaw that time, keeping organization of all this, and that is a goose obtained by Terence Tao. Also interesting story that this goose was handmade by the granddaughter of Miron Zaritsky, who was a successor of Banach on as a dean of the faculty. Yes, and maybe there are some guests. So there is very important function of this Lviv Scottish book, that it allows us to connect to something like Monika Mlodzinowska, granddaughter of Joseph Spuzina, was visiting Lviv and came to a Scottish cafe and wrote inscription to the book, and which allows us to find her and make contacts. And there are many such stories from yes, and the most legendary and mystical, it is the story about finding of the grave of Janiszewski. Also due to Lviv Scottish book, there was some also woman from Australia which inscribed to the book that I was on Lechakov Cemetery and did not find the grave, what is a shame. And after that it was found. Also very nice story, but no time to make details. So on this building we are sitting in, there is a memorial table plaque about Scottish cafe written in 3 languages, Ukrainian, Polish, and English. And so there are very short story for visitors in order to make them consistent where what are they visiting. Okay, so this some symbols of Banach in our city. This memorial also plaque of Banach on the old building of the university is, and this is in museum of University Museum, is a sculpture of Banach, which was in Banach hall at our faculty sometime, but now it's in museum.
We are regularly going to Lwowsko cemetery, where all these important mathematicians, philosophers, including Twardowski, are buried. And yes, those are graves. Grave of Kazimierz Twardowski and some of his students, like Miron Zaretsky was his student, Stepan Oleksiuk, it is Tudor. Stepan was also writer, Lithuanian writer. Milena Rudnicka, very important woman, philosopher. Yes, and probably that is the end. Thank you for your attention. If you have some question, please.
Thank you so much. It is incredible to know that this is not something in the past, but the Scottish book is an ongoing project. There are many details about the new and old Scottish book on your website. I think maybe it's a good idea to put the address of the website on our chat. If anyone is interested, I saw this website and I found it really fantastic. There are scans of old and new Scottish book there also. You can find it. Okay, if there are any questions now, I think we have some time to questions and comments. Of course, there will be also a discussion at the end of all talks, but if anyone would like to add something or comment on Professor Spanak's paper. Professor Wiatkina, would you like to ask the question or? Okay, I think that for now there are no questions. So perhaps we will leave the discussion. Oh, there are on the chat, let's see. Okay.
Okay, thank you then.
Okay, thank you once more. Thank you, Irina, for this link to the website of Lviv Scottish Book to the project. Yes, perhaps in the end of our meeting there will be some questions to all participants. And now let's move to our next guest, Professor Jarosław Prytula. And his paper is entitled Logicians Related to the Lwów School of Mathematics.
Шановні пані і панове, дві wielkie naukowe szkoły matematyki, filozofii i logiki powiązane ze Lwowem. Oni miały nie tylko wspólne pole badań, a także miały wspólnych wielkich osób. O tych będzie mowa. Historyczne zainteresowania logiką w Polsce rozpoczęły się w latach 70. XIX wieku. Wzrosła wtedy popularność metodologii nauk, bardziej empirycznych niż matematycznych. Prawie 150 lat temu pojawiło się polskie tłumaczenie dzieła Logika szkockiego filozofa i logika ze szkoły Stuarta Milla, Aleksandra Bena. Dzieło to już we wstępie informuje o doniosłości odkryć De Morgana i Bola. 10 lat po temu Stanisław Piotkiewicz, profesor gimnazjum w Lwowie, nauczyciel matematyki i fizyki, w sprawozdaniu 4. Gimnazjum Lwowskiej podał rozprawę Algebra w logice. To była pierwsza polska praca w dziedzinie logiki matematycznej. Piotkiewicz w sposób kompetentny informował o nowych prądach w logice formalnej. Pokazał znaczenie logiki algebraicznej. Na jego zdanie ona ogólniejsza od logiki tradycyjnej. Niestety Pionkiewicz nie zdołał rozbudować szerszego zainteresowania nową logiką na terenie Polski, bo nie zajmował stanowiska akademickiego. Zresztą można także wymienić inne książki. Książka Samuela Dicksteina Pojęcia i metody matematyki. Tam są krótka informacja z logiki planu. A w tych czasach w Lwowie był początek habilitacji i obrony prac doktorskich w zakresie matematyki. Pracowali czołowi matematyki Wawrzyni Żmurko na Politechnice i Uniwersytecie, jego uczeń Józef Puzyna, który miał kierunek naukowy Weierstrasse. Józef Puzyna stał prekursorem Lwowskiej Szkoły Matematycznej. Jego staraniem w Lwowie habilitowali się i pracowali Wacław Sierpiński, Zygmunt Janiszewski, Hugo Steinhaus. Ciekawe, że w lekcjach habilitacyjnych, które te profesorowie mówili, stosowali się filozofii matematyki. Sierpińskiego pojęcie odpowiedzialności w matematyce. Janiszewskiego realizm i idealizm w matematyce. Steinhaus zwodnicze drogi w matematyce. Pierwsze dwie prace
Grzeszu, zaraz parę Przepraszamy, tutaj problem z internetem chwilowy. Za chwilkę rozwiążemy.
Nic nie szkodzi, zaczekamy spokojnie.
Zajdę na flaszku
Тихо. Треба показати їм.
Зараз. В мене ж є, що за ерунда?
Включіть мою лекцію. Przepraszamy. Informujemy, że ta dzielnica Lwowa teraz nie ma prądu.
Ojej.
My pracujemy od generatora i mamy taki problem. Teraz poprawi się i dalszy będzie ciąg mojej informacji. Напевне, Państwo co ja mówię, czuje. Ja mówiłem o lekcjach habilitacyjnych Sierpińskiego, Janiszewskiego i Steinhausa. Dwie z nich były ogłoszone w przeglądzie filozoficznym. Także ze Steinhausem до Львова приїхав і на політехніці асистентом працював Стефан Банах.
Може, jeszcze chwileczkę tam туди встав флеш. Там все працює.
Так. О. В тих часах на катедрах філософії університету був najpierw Czerkawski, a po Czerkawskim profesor Kazimierz Twardowski. To on zrobił wykład w Uniwersytecie Lwowskim o tendencjach reformatorskich w logice. Głównie wybrytano nauczyciela Twardowskiego, a także Bola. To był pierwszy uniwersytecki wykład z elementami matematycznymi w Polsce. Jednym z słuchaczy na lekcji był Jan Łukasiewicz. Wydaje się, że Twardowski nie był zbyt entuzjastą logiki w stylu matematycznym, a nawet przestrzegał przed nadużywaniem symbolizmu, ale miał jednak poczucie historycznej wagi swego kursu. Jan Łukasiewicz studiował na uniwersytecie najpierw prawo, a dalej matematykę i filozofię. Na drugim roku studiów on zrobił na seminarium fuzyjnym matematycznym referat o Grassmana nauce rozciągłości, wyniki której cytował w pracy doktorskiej. Jego praca doktorska o indukcji jako o inwersji dedukcji, kilka uwag o sprawie logicznego budowy wniosków. Ciekawe, że referentami tej pracy byli Twardowski i Puzyna. I oba Twardowski i Puzyna byli egzaminatorami i na egzaminie filozofii i egzamin z matematyki. W 1902 roku Łukasiewicz otrzymał stopień doktora z odznaczeniem imperatorskim. W 1906 roku został docentem. Po habilitacji jego pierwszy wykład dotyczył algebry logiki. Uważa się, że to był pierwszy profesjonalny wykład logiki matematycznej w Polsce. Twardowski pilnował zawsze, żeby wykłady logiki Łukasiewicza i Twardowskiego były w różnych semestrach. Łukasiewicz o wykładzie Twardowskiego pisał, że nie zrobił ten wykład na niego żadnego wrażenia. Do logiki matematycznej, pisze on, trafiłem na całkiem innej drodze. Ta droga była dzieło Russella. W 1910 roku ukazała się książka Łukasiewicza o zasadzie sprzeczności Arystoteles. Dodatek w niej był w pewnym sensie podręcznikiem logiki matematycznej. W 1910 roku po studiach w Niemczech i Szwajcarii zjawił się w Lwowie Stanisław Leśniewski, żeby przygotować doktorat pod kierunkiem Twardowskiego. O pierwszym spotkaniu z nim pisze Łukasiewicz w pamiętnikach. Okazało się, że Leśniewski drukuje w przeglądach filozoficznych artykuł zawierający krytykę pewnych moich poglądów w mojej książce Zasada sprzeczności Arystotelesa. Krytyka ta była napisana z taką ścisłością naukową, że nie można się było do niczego przyczepić. I dalej. Ja wyszedłem jak zwykle do kawiarni szkockiej, oświadczyłem oczekującym tam kolegom, że likwiduje swój interes logiczny. Mówi, powstałą bowiem firmom konkurencyjnym nie wytrzymam. Łukasiewicz na szczęście zmienił zdanie swoje i pozostał się przy logice. Leśniewski w Lwowie uzupełniał swoje wykształcenie matematyczne. Uczęszczał na wykłady Sierpińskiego, algebra, teoria mnogości. Tu dowiedział się o autonomii Russella. Na egzaminie doktorskim Leśniewiec otrzymał u Sierpińskiego celujące o puzyny dostateczne. Na pewno na lekcji puzyny on nie był. Doktorat w 2012 roku przyczynek do analizy zdań egzystencjalnych. Od 2013 roku był w Warszawie. Z Lwowem powiązana habilitacja Leśniewskiego. Na habilitacji z logiki i filozofii matematyki podał dwie prace. To było w środku grudnia 2018 roku. Praca Podstawy ogólnej teorii mnogości i druga praca Krytyka logiczna zasady wyłączonego środka. Twardowski zrobił wniosek Leśniewskiego do habilitacji dopuścić, do komisji habilitacyjnej wybrać Wartenberga i Sierpińskiego. Sierpiński ocenę napisał prawie już w lutym 2019 roku. Tam on pisał, że jednym niedefiniowanym terminem matematycznym, którym się autor posługuje, jest wyraz część. Terminem mnogość i element są przez autora definiowane za pomocą wyrazu część. I w końcu praca zupełnie wystarczająca jako habilitacja z filozofii i matematyki. No na pewno o logice powinien był mówić Вартенберг. Але відомо, що в квітню року 19-го був лист Вартенберга do Twardowskiego. Oto, jak on mówił o Leśniewskim. To jest żongler i kugler, który wykorzystując dialektykę, wszystko, czego nie chwyci, do góry nogami wywraca i w tym upatruje swoją oryginalność i nią koketuje. Habilitacji w Lwowie nie było. Prawda, już w roku 19 Leśniewski, profesor katedry filozofii i matematyki w Uniwersytecie Warszawskim. Już w latach przed I wojną światową pojawiło się w Lwowie grono filozofów zainteresowanych nową logiką. Należeli do niego Kazimierz Ejdukowicz, Tadeusz Czerzowski, Tadeusz Kotarbiński, Franciszek Smolka, Zygmunt Zawirski, no i inni. Rola filozofii w kształceniu zainteresowań logicznych w Lwowie jest oczywista i dobrze potwierdzona środkami. Mniej jasny jest natomiast udział matematyków w tym procesie. Tu właśnie wielka rola Sierpińskiego. Sierpiński prowadził kurs teorii mnogości. To był pierwszy w świecie uniwersytecki kurs jako oddzielnego przedmiotu. Ejdukowicz, Czerzowski uczęszczali na jego seminaria. Można przypuścić, że zainteresowania lwowskich logików antynomiami teorii mnogości byli rezultatem lekcji Sierpińskiego i jego książka Zarys teorii mnogości. Ciekawe, że pytania na kolokwiumach habilitacyjnych jak do logików, tak i matematykom zawsze byli jakieś pytania z filozofii i logiki. W latach 20. wielu uczniów twardowskich zaselili inne uniwersytety państwa. Koterbiński, Leśniewski, Łukasiewicz w Warszawie, Czerzowski w Wilno, Zawirski w Poznaniu. Lwowskie matematyki Banach, Steinhaus, лідери методów teoretyko-mnogościowych byli w ten czas głównymi matematykami i pracowali głównie na wykorzystanie nowych źródeł, to aksiomy wyboru Cermela, całki i miary Lebeha. Po śmierci Puzyny profesorem stał Євстахій Жилінський, który studiował na uniwersytetach w Kijowie i Гетінці. Jego kierunek badań naukowych to była algebra, logika i podstawy matematyki. W zakresie logiki udowodnił on takie twierdzenie, że poza dysjunkcją i binegacją żaden inny dwuargumentowy funktor logiczny nie wystarcza do zdefiniowania wszystkich funktorów jedno- i dwuargumentowych. On także miał lekcje z podstaw matematyki, opublikował kurs lekcji Formalizm Gilberta. Stefan Banach po doktoracie w 20 roku habilitował się na Uniwersytecie Jana Kazimiera w 22 roku. Praca habilitacyjna, problemy miary. Popatrzymy w szczególności pytania, jakie byli na habilitacji. Żyliński pytał, jak mogą być sformułowane albo tłumaczono, jak było tłumaczono, tak zwane paradoksy teorii mnogości, w szczególności antynomia Ryszarda. Drugie pytanie, jakie nierozwiązane dotąd zagadnienia ogólnej teorii mnogości są osobliwie ważne? Steinhaus podał takie pytania. Co to znaczy, że twierdzenie matematyczne jest prawdziwe? I inne. Co to jest dowód? I lekcja habilitacyjna Banacha była rozwój pojęcia miary. No i te idei już w 24 roku byli w wspólnej pracy z Tarskim i słynny wynik i rezultat Banacha i Tarskiego o paradoksalnym rozkładzie kuli za pomocą idei aksjomatu wyboru. W 28 roku Rada Wydziału Matematyczno-Przyrodniczego Wydziału uznała potrzebę utworzenia na Wydziale Katedry Logiki. Komisja była utworzona matematyką Ruziewicz, Żyliński, Loria fizyki Banach. Komisja zapytała we wszystkich profesorów wykładających ten przedmiot we wszystkich uniwersytetach państwa. Z Uniwersytetu Lwowskiego, Twardowskiego, Wartenberga i Ajdukiewicza o propozycjach kierowników katedry. Byli takie profesorowie Uniwersytetu Jagiellońskiego, wyrazili doktora Leona Chwistka. Z Uniwersytetu Warszawskiego doktora Alfreda Tarskiego. Wobec rozbieżności powyższych opinii komisja już w 29 roku postanowiła zwrócić się do Gilberta, Russella, Whiteheada jako najwybitniejszych zagranicznych logików. Odpowiedzi nadesłali profesor Gilbert i Russell. Komisja zapoznała się z powyższymi opiniami i już w styczniu 1930 roku postanowiła jednomyślnie przedłożyć Radzie Wydziału wniosek takiej treści. Rada Wydziału uprasza ministerstwo mianować Leona Chwistka. I motywy decyzji. Już w podaniu ministerstwa podano, że Rada Wydziału na posiedzeniu 22 stycznia 1930 roku za takie propozycje tajnym głosowaniem większością głosów przyjęła. Jakiej większością? 8 głosów za, przeciw 4, jedna kartka biała. I tak Chwistek 20 września 1930 roku mianowany profesorem matematyki, katedry logiki na Wydziale Matematyko-Przyrodniczym. W 1938 roku został on profesorem zwyczajnym. W informacjach, w czasopismach historycznych piszą, że Gilbert nie odpowiadał. Russell był za Chwistka, znał pracę Chwistka. Twardowski opowiadał się za Tarskim. Ale Russell nie znał, pisze, że nie znał zasług Tarskiego. Ale w drugim wydaniu Pryncypy matematyki Russella on wymienił 2 prace Tarskiego. Wtedy razem z Chwistkiem do Lwowa przyjechali jego uczniowie z Krakowa. Hedberg, Herzberg ta inni. Na Wydziale Matematyczno-Przyrodniczym w Lwowie promowano 2 doktorów w zakresie logiki. To Józef Pepys. On studiował na Uniwersytecie Jana Kazimierza w Lwowie. Doktoryzował się w 1938 roku na podstawie rozprawy o zagadnieniach rozstrzygalności w zakresie większego rachunku funkcyjnego. Promotorem był Żyliński. Pepys pracował docentem i na Ukraińskim Uniwersytecie w Lwowie do 1941 roku. Dalsze losy niewiadome. I uczeń, Chwistka Władysław Hedberg. Studia matematyczne ukończył na Uniwersytecie Jagiellońskim w 1932 roku. Już w 1943 był asystentem katedry logiki w Lwowie. Doktoryzował się w 1937 roku. Rozprawa podstawy semantyki. Promotorem był Chwistek. Habilitacja odbyła się w końcu na jesieni 1939 roku. Praca habilitacyjna, relacje ancestralne w systemie semantyki. Komisja i który doktoryzował się na egzaminach i komisja była z profesorów Żyliński, Banach, Chwistek, Ajdukewicz. Tu paru pytań, jakie byli na habilitacji. Także Chwistek. Pytania: sprawa sprzeczności i zupełności systemów elementarnych. Ajdukewicz. Antynomia Euklidesa w sensie semantyki Chwista. Żyliński. Logika prowna. Banach. Znaczenie logiki matematycznej dla matematyki. Oto krótka historia logiki na Uniwersytecie Lwowskim. Dziękuję za uwagę.
Dziękujemy bardzo serdecznie.
Wybaczam się, że może ja coś nie tak. Prąd słaby, generator pracuje tak i tak. No, tak. Tak. Dziękuję jeszcze.
Podziwiam, jesteśmy bardzo szczęśliwi, że udało się panu profesorowi dokończyć mimo tych trudności. No, Lwowiacy i cały naród ukraiński wykazuje się niezwykłą dzielnością w tych okolicznościach. I jesteśmy naprawdę bardzo wdzięczni. Ja jeszcze wspomnę, że jest nam też niezwykle miło posłuchać, jak pan profesor mówi w języku polskim, z taką nutą właśnie lwowską. Myślę, że tak jak pan profesor...
Proszę pani, ja nie zdaje się, że ja mówił po ukraińsku. Ja po ukraińsku mówię.
Piękna polszczyzna. I myślę, że właśnie logicy, o których pan profesor mówił, myślę, że mówili bardzo podobnie i z podobnym właśnie lwowskim kolorytem. No my tutaj w Warszawie już troszkę inaczej właśnie mówimy. Także dziękujemy bardzo, bo to zawsze bardzo przyjemnie. Mnie niezwykle zaciekawiły te pytania na kolokwiach habilitacyjnych, które były naprawdę bardzo takie filozoficzne. Niektóre w każdym razie są pośród nich mało techniczne, a bardziej właśnie związane z takim właśnie filozofią matematyki. No niezwykle ciekawy i bogaty wykład, bardzo serdecznie dziękujemy. Czy teraz są do pana profesora jakieś pytania, komentarze, czy zostawiamy na koniec? Pan profesor Woleński, bardzo proszę.
Ja myślę, że jeszcze są. Mogę mówić po polsku?
Proszę, proszę.
Tak, kilka uzupełnień. Mianowicie Banach wygłosił w Towarzystwie Filozoficznym autoreferat na początku lat 20. Znaczy odczyt. Autoreferat był drukowany w ruchu filozoficznym i tam wbrew dość powszechnemu przekonaniu wśród logików kwestionował wagę antynomii, to znaczy uważał, że one się mogą przyczynić do rozwoju matematyki, nie stanowią jakiegoś problemu pojęciowego. To jest, o ile mi wiadomo, jedyny właściwie tekst Banacha filozoficzny. Dalej, może warto wspomnieć, że Chwistek przywiózł ze sobą jeszcze z Krakowa dwóch innych uczniów, mianowicie to Herbert i Skarżyński. Ten pierwszy jest współautorem pracy razem z Hetferem i Mistrzem, czyli Chwistkiem. Skarżyński, o ile mi wiadomo, niczego nie opublikował. I wreszcie taka informacja, że tuż przed wojną ukazał się krótki artykuł Banacha i Stanisława Mazura o analizie obliczalnej. Potem po wojnie, prawda, Mazur rozwinął tę teorię i napisał nawet monografię po angielsku Computable Analysis, ale widać, że początki tej teorii to była wersja, powiedzmy sobie, teorii funkcji rekurencyjnych. Powstała przed wojną w Lwowie, a ta teoria jest uważana za część logiki matematycznej, takich podstaw matematyki. Natomiast skąd się wzięły te tematy wykładów habilitacyjnych Sierpińskiego, Janiszewskiego i Steinhausa? No bo to wtedy był wydział filozoficzny i no, to była raczej taka, nazwijmy to, polityczna w jakimś takim sensie naukowym sytuacja, że no, trudno było matematykom mówić do filozofów, filologów, prawda, na ścisłe tematy matematyczne. Ale no, widać wyraźnie, że już te pytania do Hetfera czy do Hetfera, chociaż były filozoficzne, to jednak były ściśle związane z podstawami matematyki. A jeszcze może dodam, że Pepys jest dość dobrze znany w środowiskach logicznych, bo jego wyniki w zakresie rozstrzygalności rachunków kwantyfikatorów są dobrze znane i są nawet, jak to się mówi, prefiksy Pepisa, które były opisane w tej jego pracy. Dziękuję.
Dziękujemy bardzo.
Dziękuję.
Czy są jeszcze jakieś komentarze, pytania? Are there any questions or comments? This paper?
Czy ja mógłbym się włączyć?
Bardzo proszę.
Jacek Jadacki.
A.
Bardzo dziękuję za to wystąpienie. Bardzo instruktywne i rzeczywiście piękną polszczyzną wygłoszone. Natomiast pewne uzupełnienie także, ale trochę z dalszej perspektywy niż to, które zrobił pan profesor Woleński. Mianowicie ten początek zainteresowań logiką w Polsce to można owszem lokować w XIX wieku, ale tylko wtedy, jeżeli patrzymy na to z perspektywy przerwy, nie tylko zresztą w Polsce, w badaniach logicznych związanych z tak zwanym oświeceniem. Natomiast historia badań logicznych w Polsce to zaczyna się, prawdę mówiąc, gdzieś na przełomie XII i XIII wieku. Jeżeli pan profesor będzie zainteresowany, to bardzo chętnie udostępnię swoją dość dużą pracę na temat dziejów logiki polskiej, no chyba z 10 lat temu opublikowaną. To jedna uwaga. A druga dotycząca osoby Piątkiewicza. To się tak mówi, że on był właściwie takim, można powiedzieć, pierwiostnikiem badań w zakresie logiki matematycznej, ale do tego samego pokolenia, to znaczy urodzonego gdzieś w połowie XIX wieku, a więc przed Twardowskim, należał też Jan Sleszyński, też logik matematyczny, no i osoba, do której się przyznają 3 kraje, między innymi Ukraina i Rosja, ale także i Polska, mianowicie Platon Porecki, absolwent Uniwersytetu w Charkowie i później wieloletni wykładowca Uniwersytetu w Kazaniu. No jak wiadomo, te sprawy pochodzeniowe to są trudne do rozstrzygnięcia, ale do jego prac można również nawiązywać, kiedy się mówi o dziejach szeroko rozumianej logiki polskiej. Zresztą to jest ciekawe, że sami Rosjanie, w szczególności taka niezła logiczka pani profesor Janowska, Platona Poreckiego, który był synem, no powiedzmy ostrożnie, polsko-ukraińskiego lekarza wojskowego, ona sama go uważała za kogoś, kto jest przedstawicielem logiki polskiej. Także dziękując jeszcze raz panu profesorowi za to wspaniałe wystąpienie.
Dziękuję panu także.
Swoje teksty.
Dziękuję panu także za te seminaria lwowskie. Pamiętam bardzo ładne seminaria, które razem z naszym rektorem i pan prowadził. To tu uczestnicy i profesor Zaryczny i ja jakoś miał, tak, profesor Lance, który już jak go nie ma tu. Tak, dziękuję panu.
Dobrze i mile je także wspominam, a zwłaszcza osoby świętej pamięci profesora Wakarczuka.
Dziękujemy bardzo. Thank you very much. Ja myślę, że musimy wrócić do tej tradycji seminariów i je wznowić. Może nie byłby zły pomysł, jak tylko sytuacja polityczna na to pozwoli. It would be a good idea to come back to the idea of Lwów-Warsaw seminars, which were organized in Lwów and in Warsaw every year. There are some publications that are fruits of this seminars, great seminars. I also participated in last of them, and I have great memories from these meetings. Okay. Yes, now let's move to our last speaker today, gdzie przechodzimy do naszego prelegenta, pan profesor Michał Zaliczny, profesor Michał Zaliczny, and his paper is entitled Zarycki's Axiomatization of Boundary as Application of Algebra of Logic. Please turn on your microphone, please, because
Yes.
Okay.
Доброго вечора всім. Доброго вечора. Добрий вечір. Good evening. It's logical that in this World Logic Day, I will speak about publication with the word logic, actually logique in French, in its title. So this is, my talk will be devoted to the publication by Miron Zarycki. And here I will start with the picture of Miron Zarycki. I'll skip his biography, very dramatic biography. I will only tell you that when Stefan Banach was served as the Dean of Department of Mathematical and Natural Sciences, then it was a physical and mathematical faculty. Then Zarycki was the vice dean, and when Banach resigned, Zarycki was the dean of the department. And I recall that in 1922, Kazimierz Kuratowski published his famous paper sur l'opération, the closure of A, de l'analysis situ, del analysis situs, on the topological closure operation. This is a translation. And in this famous paper, Kuratowski investigated 4 axioms for the closure operator. And it turned out that one can define the topological spaces not only by using the notion of open set, but also using the closure operator. And I will speak about Zaritsky publication, Zaritsky article, quelques notions fondamentales de l'analyse situ au point de vue de l'algèbre de la logique. Some basic notions of topology from the point of view of algebra of logic. This was published in 1927, so next year we will celebrate 100th anniversary of this publication. And in this publication, Zaritsky develops the ideas of Grotowski, and he proposes some axioms for the following operations. These are exterior, interior, so-called frontier, and so-called border. Here in these notations, R denotes the closure, C denotes the complement. So if we apply the closure and the complement to any set A, we obtain the exterior. Similarly, we obtain the interior when we consider the complement, the closure of the complement, and then the complement to the closure of the complement. We obtain the interior. And similarly, we define the notion of frontier, which is the frontier of any set is the intersection of its closure and the closure of its complement. We say boundary, miedza, brzeg in Polish. And also, Zaritsky considers the notion of border, which is the intersection of the set and the closure of its complement. The following are axioms proposed by Zaritsky. These are axioms for all these four operations. And let us consider the axiom 1 sub b for the border operation. And here it is an illustration of it. If we consider two sets, one yellow and another one blue, say A and B, their intersection is green, and the border of the green set is the intersection of border of the blue set, the part of the blue set which is in the yellow set, union with the part of the border of yellow set which belongs to the blue set. So if we now write this in the formulas, you obtain the following. Here, according to old notations, we denote by dot the intersection and by plus the sum. Actually, in the Polish language, the union of two sets is summa, the sum, and the intersection is ilochen, the like product. So verbally, it corresponds to the Leibniz rule or Newton-Leibniz rule for differentiation. So we see that this property 1 sub b from Zaritsky's axiom is very similar to the Leibniz rule. And I speculate that this parallelism can be explained by Stokes' theorem. In its most general form, the Stokes' theorem sounds as follows. The integral over the boundary of a manifold omega of any differential form, omega small, is equal to the integral over omega of the differential of this exterior differential form. So omega is a differential form, omega small, and omega capital is an orientable manifold with boundary. Okay, so let us paraphrase the known phrase, known no citation of Herman Wade. I would like to transform it slightly. So in these days, the angel of geometry in Wales phrase, it is topology, but I replaced topology by geometry because of, we'll see later why. The angel of geometry and the devil of abstract algebra fight for the soul of every individual discipline of mathematics. In our case, they fight for the soul of topology. So we see that geometric approach corresponds to the definition of topology by using the open sets. This is due to Alexandrov. The algebraic approach is by using the closure operator. This is Kuratowski approach. And the combined approach, both algebraic and geometric, is that using boundaries, because the form of this approach is algebraic. We see that the axiom look quite logical, but the essence is geometric, because the notion of the boundary is of geometric nature. And this article by Zaritsky has many citations. First of all, it is mentioned by Kuratowski in his famous Topology, in the first volume of his fundamental monograph. Next, in other textbooks of general topology, and in other publications, for example, in a paper by Albuquerque, La notion de frontière en topologie. I would like to cite a citation of 2025. The early work on the axiomatic foundation of topology by Kuratowski and Zaritsky, and here three Zaritsky's article, including the mentioned one, deserves special mention here. We find it rather unfortunate, especially for logicians, that this way of introducing topology has not received the recognition it deserves. Well, and we see here three publications of Miron Zaritsky. And one of the stunning mentions of Zaritsky paper is in quantum physics. So Polish and Slovak author, his name is Richard Paweł Kostecki. He introduces the so-called Zaritsky-Lower boundary operator, which satisfies the Leibniz rule. It is on the is below, the third row below, third line below, from below. So he introduces the Zaritsky-Lower boundary operator, which satisfies Leibniz rule and one more rule. And here I would like to mention that Lower is one of the creators of the so-called topos theory, and he mentions Zaritsky publication in his publication at the conference dedicated to applications of category theory in quantum mechanics. And also I would like to mention one more publication in Japanese with one word in Latin letters. This one word is Zaritsky, and I translated this by using the Google Translate. This is on boundaries, and this is a modern citation of year 2022 or 2023 about that, and more citations, more mentions of Zaritsky papers paper are from different parts of philosophy. First of all, this concerned the theory of topological models of columnar vagueness, and these publications, Akil, Varzi, Boundaries, Continuity, and Contact. This concerned the formal ontology, and we see that also these modern citations concern computational logic in simple type theory. Also, I found a dissertation, a PhD thesis, that concerns philosophy of vagueness, a topological perspective, and the author of it says the following: it is good to mention that many years ago Zaritsky made a difference between the standard boundary, which is frontier, and the border, using as usual BD for the standard boundary and BZ for the for Zaritsky's border. We have the following relations. So for Zaritsky's notion of boundary is broader than the notion of border. So this notion is also of importance in modern applications. And there are many other publications which use Zaritsky's results. And I would like to recall the next year we will celebrate 100th anniversary of this publication. Дякую за увагу, dziękuję za uwagę. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, dear professor, for presenting this interesting personality and results of Zarycki. Okay, and now there is some time for questions, comments to the last talk and also to all talks presented during this session. So if there are any questions, comments, you are welcome. Bardzo proszę.
Well, I have maybe a biographical question about one of the mathematicians that was mentioned during the first talk, which was Hermann Auerbach. I was wondering if any of the professors or at the audience know whether he was connected in any way to Walter Auerbach, who was a philosopher and psychologist from the Lwów-Warsaw School, because the information about Walter Auerbach's biography are very scarce. We don't know very little about him, so I was wondering whether any of you have any information about the connection between Hermann and Walter.
Czy znamy jakieś połączenia pomiędzy...
Przepraszam. Hermann Auerbach miał brata. On był historyką matematyki i on był docentem na Wydziale Języków, na humanitarnym wydziale. A tym Hermann brata miał, on był historyką matematyki. Jakiś no.
A to Walter Kasz, taki czlen Lwowsko-Warszawskiej szkoły z Warszawy, czy z Lwowa? Drugi. Walter u Lwowie. I z rodzinnych związków.
Czyli prawdopodobnie nie byli braćmi, być może dalsza rodzina, no albo nie byli spokrewnieni, bo to mogło być nazwisko...
Urodzili się w podobnym roku.
A, jeszcze byli rówieśnikami niemal, tak? Czyli w podobnym czasie się urodzili. Okay, are there any other questions, comments? My question, professor Wiatkina. Professor Waleńska.
Thank you so much. I would like to comment in such a regional way that first of all, this is an absolutely wonderful conference, a marathon of ideas, information, I must say, about new findings from the history of the school. And I have some such feeling that legend and some myth that turns into a real story, in the real history. And my short story from recent events is that my university in Kiev, where I work, American University Kiev, has a strong IT faculty, department, and they decided to create an AI cafe. It turned out that our rector, who is from Krakow, Jacek Leszków, visited Lviv. So this is interesting fact that Jacek Leszków works in Kiev as a rector of the American University Kiev. So he visited Lviv, where he was taken to the Lwowsko restaurant and told a story about an old coffee shop or pub and the Lwowski book also. At this meeting, he said the story impressed him and that it was necessary, and he decided to create like not cafe in literally, but idea of an AI cafe. So after his speech, he had a talk at the beginning of this meeting for creating AI cafe. The title of this talk was from Lwowsko cafe to AI cafe. After his speech, I raised a hand and decided to tell something about Lwów-Warsaw School, various episodes in its history, the Lwów-Warsaw School Research Center of the Philosophical Faculty of University of Warsaw, and the school's 130th anniversary. After my talk, programmers and mathematicians during the interval, they approached me expressing interest in this story. We agreed that once our terrible frosts in Kiev and Ukraine and blackouts pass, we will definitely meet to discuss philosophical logic and the role of philosophy in logic and mathematics. So I recall that the beginning of these parts of the conference, it was told that the ties and connections of philosophers and mathematicians that time were more close. And it seems to me that, and I told these guys from this IT faculty that I wonder why mathematicians or programmers do not know what is done in logic. So interesting ideas, and logic exists separately, and these programmers who work for the government now, and they are very smart and very interesting people, but they don't know nothing about philosophical and mathematical ties and connections in between. So they have been interested very much, and this some words about today event. That this is a great support and contribution and possibility to contribute from both from Ukrainian and Polish side, and not only these two countries. And it is necessary to consider it that the intellectual and cultural tradition on the border of two countries. And this is very inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear professor. I think that the problem is that we are more and more specialized, and that's why we are not so much interested in what is happening in other disciplines, but we for sure should be interested, because these inspirations could be very fruitful, and perhaps there will be some occasions to share this interest and work interdisciplinary. Yes, Professor Jan Woleński.
Still two additions. It first was inspired by the last talk about topology. Kuratowski was professor of Technical University in Lviv until 1933, and his joint works with Starsky, which belong to logic, should be mentioned as contributions coming from Lviv. And also was a young philosopher, Zygmunt Schmirer, who was a student of Wajdukiewicz, and he was a very promising logician. However, he was killed as a Jew in Lviv ghetto. However, he published interesting abstracts about Russell and other things. They were published in Ruch Filozoficz.
Thank you for this, for reminding us about Schmirer, who is also, of course, present in our encyclopedia as a student of Wajdukiewicz. One of these philosophers, these members of the school that were killed during the war and could not develop their careers, which were very promising in the 30s. Yeah, I think that Professor Zaryczny would like to add something, comment.
Zaryczny, but Banach, the time we just exchanging by computers because so we should react on a very nice remark of Natalia Yakina, Yakina from Kyiv. So I would like to stress that this idea to make mathematics in cafe is very attractive, and of course there is desire to repeat, right? And usually it does not work. Probably because now we have those times with the IE and computers and internet, and this does not help to contact people's usual way, going to cafe. I know, as far as I know, that, for example, Steinhaus, when he returned to Wrocław, yes, so he made three steps. So he established Polish Mathematical Society, Journal Colloquial Mathematics, and Delta. Yes, and it works. But I know that they tried to repeat the story of Scottish Cafe, and it does not work. It did not work. So there was some time that such similar cafe in Wrocław was opened, and it finally made bankrupt because no visitors or something like this. So it's not easy to just move such phenomenon to other place, and I don't know how it in our times how it is possible. No, but here in Scottish Cafe we are lucky because this cafe is a restaurant of hotel which will work for a long time, and so we are sure that this cafe still will be acting for a long time because it is just not just cafe for mathematicians. That is the problem. That mathematicians usually do not go to cafe now. They just do not go anywhere, sitting at home and looking at internet, right?
So we have a nice cafe in the university, so we'll invite you.
With pleasure. You are from Kyiv at the moment or from other? Yes, so thank you. Дякую за ваш героїзм, бо там ми розуміємо, що дуже холодно наразі, правда?
Дуже холодно.
Так. Це дуже дякую і приємно вас було чути.
Ми обов'язково вас запросимо. Коли трошки потепліє.
Okay, thank you very much. And I have some informal, not so serious question. Do you know what was the menu of the Scottish cafe, this old Scottish cafe before the war? I'm thinking about whether there were some drinks that could help the logicians to get their results or something like that.
Cognac was definitely presented. I'm trying to guess. Zurek and Bigos. Actually, I'm just joking. Nobody knows. Menu.
What was menu?
Tak.
So it is known that it was not for good eating. So they went, chodzili w inne miejsce, żeby coś zjeść, tak? A szkocka to było dla dyskusji i dla picia kieliszka wina za 3 godziny, tak?
Yeah.
Okay, but this owner of the cafe, Zieliński, had to earn something, yeah. So what was his reason to have this cafe? So I think that coffee was served at least, or alcohol drinks also, or no?
Drinking gives more profit than eating. Because this is a good question. This is an open question. What was the menu in the Scottish cafe? We will investigate this.
Okay.
Today we have a bottle of wine and cheese. Wine and cheese.
Great, because, well, according to some anecdotes, sometimes it happened that the proofs found in the evening in the Scottish cafe were forgotten during the night. So I can guess that there were some factors that had to forget this proofs. Yeah, that was why the Scottish book was initiated.
Yeah. It was not for proofs, it was for open problems, first of all. Some results were written on napkins, and I will show you the napkin. Just a moment, I will switch off the blur.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see? This is a napkin. Most probably you see it in the mirror.
Yeah. We see the yes. The
Well,
napkins.
so
They are so beautiful.
The words are Szkocka bar and restaurant.
Uh-huh.
So one can write proofs on these napkins.
Yeah, they are perfect. Great. Mm-hmm.
We have a book for writing.
And we also have a new Scottish book, a physical book, to write down the problems and to promise some awards for their solutions.
Yes, I saw on the website of your project, Lviv Scottish Book, I saw the scans of these new problems that are posed. So there are some more or less serious problems that that are posed also now of the people that visit Scottish cafe.
To add that the creators of this website is a nice women of our
This is working without them.
Everything would stop immediately, after one bottle.
Ja chcę przypomnieć формула Штейнгауса. Панах любить добре зігране товариство при кілішку.
Так, давайте включайте звук, тому що ми не чуємо.
Так, то
Але це складно.
Okay, great. Oh, I think that there is somebody. Okay, are there any other questions or comments to our professors? If no, I think it's good time to thank you once more for this meeting, for joining us. Really fantastic event. I'm very glad for this cooperation with mathematicians, with members of this project of Lviv Scottish Book. I'm very glad that it is ongoing project, that it is living tradition in Lwów, that the spirits of mathematicians, logicians and philosophers from Lwów are somehow still there. And I'm really glad that we were able to meet today. I hope that in the nearest future we will be able to join you in person in Lwów, that political situation would allow us to do that. I really wish you peace for your country and good conditions to work. You are really brave to continue what you are doing in these situations. Thank you once again for everything, for meeting with us. It was
Thank you
really
so much
lovely.
for organizing all this.
Thank you very much for your support, for your inspiration.
And for future collaboration.
Yeah. Great. Once again, thank you really, and I hope to meet you soon in another.
Professor Walensky, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you once more. Thank you.
Dziękujemy bardzo za zaproszenie, za organizację tego seminarium. To było bardzo pięknie.
Wracamy do tych czasów, kiedy filozofowie i matematycy byli razem, bo teraz to jakoś tak raczej oddzielnie się liczy, prawda?
No, jesteśmy zawsze chętni do współpracy, więc mam nadzieję, że to będzie początek. Może nam się uda wrócić do tych seminariów lwowsko-warszawskich, ale na pewno wierzę, że będziemy tutaj coś działać. Też się niezwykle cieszę z tego, że Państwo odwiedzają cmentarz Łyczakowski. Widziałam fotografie zrobione z okazji Wszystkich Świętych na cmentarzu Łyczakowskim, piękne znicze, również na grobie Twardowskiego i jego bliskich. Bardzo za to dziękuję. Ja tam nie mogę być osobiście, ale jestem całym sercem zawsze w Lwowie na cmentarzu Łyczakowskim co roku. Ja się staram tutaj odwiedzać warszawskich filozofów na Powązkach. Kiedy jestem w Krakowie, krakowskich filozofów, bo myślę, że to ważne, żebyśmy o nich również pamiętali. Często oni już nie mają rodzin, ale my jesteśmy ich rodziną taką duchową, więc musimy o nich pamiętać. Również za to bardzo, bardzo dziękuję. Jest to bardzo mi bliskie, żeby właśnie pamiętać również w ten sposób o naszych poprzednikach.
Bardzo ważnym człowiekiem, wiecie, że przez Twardowskiego dało się odnaleźć dużo matematyków, którzy słuchali jego wykładów, bo on to wszystko notował. Pozostałych typu Banacha, który tam rzadko kiedy coś zapisywał, prawda? Oprócz książek.
Dziękujemy bardzo i wszystkiego dobrego.
Dziękujemy serdecznie jeszcze raz. Wszystkiego dobrego. Do zobaczenia.
Do zobaczenia.
Do zobaczenia.
Bardzo dziękuję Pani Irynie, bo myśmy tutaj nawiązały kontakt. Pani Irynie Banach. Właśnie już tak, bardzo, bardzo dziękuję, bo my tutaj właśnie nawiązałyśmy kontakt i dużo organizacyjnie też Pani zechciała nam pomóc, także bardzo, bardzo dziękuję. I cieszę się.
Dziękuję bardzo za inicjatywę, bardzo dziękuję Pani.
Ja zauważyłem, Pani Andrzeju, jesteście nawet podobni.
Chyba jesteśmy. No ja pochodzę, to znaczy część mojej rodziny pochodzi z Podkarpacia, no to jest jakieś 80 km od Lwowa, więc
rodzina mojej żony, czyli Iryny Banach, też pochodzi z Podkarpacia, konkretnie z Lubaczowa.
Pani Aleksandra z Przeworska pochodzi, pani Aleksandra z Przeworska, to jest tuż przy granicy, więc wszystko te strony, tak.
No jeśli już taka rozmowa, to powiem, że mój teść pochodzi z Jarosławia.
O, no proszę.
Mój mąż mówił, że wszyscy mądrzy ludzie pochodzą z koła o promieniu 300 km
Budapesztu.
Nie wiem, czy tak możemy uogólniać, bo jeszcze pan profesor Jatacki jest z nami, a on chyba z tych rejonów jest, ale tak, ale musimy być ostrożni, aczkolwiek bardzo dużo utalentowanych, wybitnych osób pochodzi z tamtych stron. A Lwów był pod tym względem wyjątkowy. Ten wysyp talentów różnego rodzaju, takich pracowitych zarazem osób o wybitnych zdolnościach był zupełnie niezwykły w tamtym czasie. Coś wspaniałego.
Jeszcze raz bardzo dziękujemy i wszystkiego dobrego.
Dziękujemy, wszystkiego dobrego. Wszystkiego dobrego, do zobaczenia. Do widzenia.
Do zobaczenia. Wszystkiego
Do
dobrego.
zobaczenia.